Yep. Lots of people losing their jobs, not just MSNBC in jeopardy, but they're actually like shedding jobs as we speak at CNN, which is hemorrhaging. New article actually coming out exposing some of this. First of all, you got ratings that are in the toilet. Okay, so they are down. They're actually not as bad as MSNBC, but actually pretty intense. They're down about 21%. So the CEO who came from the New York Times and doesn't really understand television, God bless him, but he just does not understand television. And maybe that's okay right about now because TV doesn't really exist in the way it used to. So he walks in, he's like, oh my God, all these talents, they're making so much money. Like they've never seen this much money over on the print side of the business. He came from the New York Times, as I said. So Mark Thompson's sitting down, looking at the books going, gosh, can't we do this more cheaply, more cheaply, more cheaply? Jake Tapper, reportedly, if you trust the Daily Mail, is making $3 million. You got other anchors, if you trust the Daily Mail, like Wolf Blitzer, that may be making about $7 million. And then the word on the street, per the Daily Mail, we like the Daily Mail, is that Anderson Cooper's making around $20 million. So they're looking at that, the bean counters at CNN, and they're like, whoa, like this can't actually sustain itself because the industry's changing massively, right? Massively changing, and they're not going to have the right kind of ad support, especially in light of what just went down. So he had this secret meeting that he held, and according to Puck, which is a new online media publication, according to Puck, he basically was like, would you stop? Would you stop hating on Trump all the time? Like, what is the point of this? Like, we actually have to represent more than just we are the network that hates Trump. Of course, I think MSNBC pretty much had that filled, right? They had you cornered on that one. I don't think you could compete enough. Not with Joy Reid and Rachel Maddow, who shows up once a week. You guys were no match for that. So they had that covered, and you're suddenly realizing, wait a second, we've got to be something else, something different. Except nobody wants you. No one. Look, the first victim of the layoffs over there at CNN, that would be one Chris Wallace, who was paid somewhere around $5 million, I guess, to host that streaming show, which never took off because they got rid of their streaming network, I guess, before that could even happen. So they're challenged, and more are expected to go. But what I think you need to remember is how fearful they are now, because they did some really bad stuff. It's almost as though during this election, I was like, why do they keep getting worse and worse? Like the TDS is crazy. It's absolutely on steroids. And they're just going so far out on that curve. Like they're right there on the ledge, ready to jump off. And one wondered why they were doing this. And I think it had a lot to do, believe it or not, with the fear of this moment in time, right? If Donald Trump wins, well, what's going to happen to them? Because the further and further out they went, well, the more likely it becomes that Donald Trump's going to do exactly what you're seeing him doing. He's actually out there saying, okay, it's time to sue. It's time to actually, make some changes. It's time to actually get my FCC chairman in there, who, by the way, is one strong badass of a guy. Like, he's going to come in. He's going to say, well, this isn't fair. I mean, CBS, what are you doing? Re-editing stuff to make somebody seem great and somebody else not so great. This is going to get called into question. One of the things he pointed out, Brendan Carr, who's going to be head of the FCC just yesterday, was that the FCC made it their number 2 mission to make sure that there was more diversity, equity, inclusion. So like, when you're watching TV and you see the commercials come on and everybody's like, interracial couples, and, you make sure you see lots of people that look this way and lots of people like that, and, blue hair and piercings and everything. I don't know. I'm making that up. But like, the point is like, you need representation. If you didn't have enough representation, you were going to get threatened with losing your license as a broadcaster. So that's what that's been about, from the shows to the commercials themselves. And I think now things are about to change in a pretty massive way, as they should, right? Like, as they should. I mean, look, this was partly why I started 76 Research with Rob, because the DEI, ESG stuff had gotten so out of hand. And I'm like, well, there's bargains out there. There's ways to invest appropriately without all this nonsense. And even if the big guys can't because they have all those stupid rules, you know what my rule is? Profits count. Profits matter. And Rob is brilliant. He's been doing this for decades and run billions of dollars on Wall Street for decades. And he's been a dear friend for a very long time. And I said, what if we could actually give really good quality research that doesn't have to be beholden to the DEI and the ESG nonsense, and we give that on a big scale to the public cheaply, right? Because hedge funds, they pay like thousands of dollars for this stuff. And so we partnered up to create 76 Research. We have a brand new guide out right now. It's called Invest in MAGA. You can get it for free. Just sign up over at investinmaga.com. We have model portfolios, 10 to 15 stocks in each one of those model portfolios. You can become a Founders Club. That's the best deal because you get the most in terms of the portfolios, including any new ones we add. So go take a look at that. Again, it's investinmaga.com because there's a lot of change coming.